The hall of the Galactic Council was vast. Lights flickered on the high ceiling. Voices echoed from every corner of the galaxy. Leaders of many worlds sat at their places, arguing over trade, security, and control. Some were angry, some were bored, but one seat remained silent. Dust had gathered on it. No one had sat there for 10 years. It was the seat of Earth. A long metal plate at its base still read, Terran Delegate. Once, it had been filled with a human who spoke few words, but those words always mattered. Now the chair was just a memory. Some younger members of the council had never seen a human in real life. One delegate from the insect-like race Yashatar laughed as he pointed. "Still empty," he said. "Maybe they ran away when things got hard." Others chuckled, but one voice didn't join the laughter. It came from Karel, a gray-skinned historian from the planet Orun. He had watched humans closely over the years. He leaned forward, his face serious. 10 years ago, he said quietly, Earth left us with a message. One line, we withdraw. Do not follow. And then, silence. The laughter stopped. Maybe they had nothing left to offer, said another. Or maybe they were hiding something, Karel replied. The council paused. No one wanted to admit it, but there was fear beneath the jokes. Earth had risen fast in power. Too fast. In only a few decades, they had gone from outsiders to one of the strongest members of the council. But just when they had reached the peak, they vanished. No warning. No explanation. Karel requested access to old files. He wanted to find the last known footage from Earth. The council agreed. A glowing orb floated into the air and began to play the final recording from Earth's embassy. The image was shaky. It showed Earth's skies. Strange lights moved across the clouds, then a voice spoke. Calm, human. To those who break peace, know this. We are done talking. The screen turned black. Static followed. Then nothing. Silence filled the hall. Karel narrowed his eyes. Something about the voice felt different, colder, final. The council had mocked Earth's silence for years, but now, they wondered, did Earth leave in weakness or strength? As the delegates argued again, something happened. A signal. The council's master systems detected a transmission. Very old, but just now received. It had come from deep space, far, outside known systems. And it was marked with an old Terran code. The message was short. You left the seat empty. Now you must face what grew in the silence. For the first time in years, no one in the council spoke. Far away in the dark space beyond the charts, something was moving. And it remembered everything. The council chamber stayed silent long after the message ended. The signal was real. Ancient, code, confirmed by their best systems. No one knew how it had traveled so far or why it had taken so long to arrive. Some whispered that it had been hiding, waiting for the right moment. Karel stared at the data. The voice in the message didn't sound angry. It didn't ask for help or demand anything, it simply warned them. That made it worse. A meeting was called in private. Only the oldest and most experienced members were allowed inside. The room was sealed. Lights dimmed. A round table floated in the center, glowing softly. We cannot ignore this, Karel said. Earth was once peaceful but powerful. If something has changed, we must know what. We sent ships to their system 10 years ago, said a deep voice from the Tovalan seat. Nothing came back. Exactly, Karel replied. No messages, no wreckage, just gone. A soft hum filled the room. The council's chief of security entered. She was calm, but her eyes told a different story. She held a small data chip. This was recovered from an old probe. It drifted near Earth's solar border and returned automatically when it couldn't connect to command. They loaded the data. A video played. It was dark. The probe's camera shook slightly as it entered Earth's system. First came silence, then flashes in the blackness, shapes too large to measure, orbiting far from any known station. No signs of life, no cities, no ships. just shadows that did not match any design in the Council's records. Then a signal pulsed across the screen. A message formed in the language of Earth. No entry, no return. This space is watched. The feed ended there. Carell leaned back, thinking deeply. The others looked at each other, unsure. Some still believed it was a trick. Others feared the truth. The Council had not treated Earth fairly in the past. Long ago they rejected human warnings, ignored their advice, and laughed at their hope for peace. When Earth walked away, most thought it was because they were tired. Now it felt like something else. Like they had been preparing for something. Something only they understood. One of the younger delegates from a distant colony stood up. "We must try again. We must reach them, ask what they want, apologize, if we must." The vote passed. A new ship was prepared, not military but diplomatic. No weapons, just words. It would travel toward Earth and send messages along the way. The Council watched it leave with mixed feelings, some hopeful, some nervous. Weeks passed. The ship did not return. Then one day a single pod arrived. Damaged, burned, barely flying. It docked in silence. Inside was no crew, only a recording device. Carell played the file in the Council chamber. The image showed the stars, quiet and endless. Then a voice spoke. Human. Calm. Just like before. You were warned. You chose not to listen. Now you must observe from afar. Do not come again. The recording ended with one last image. A ship unlike any the Council had seen. Not made of metal, not glowing with lights. It floated like it was part of space itself. And behind it Earth, still blue, still beautiful, but distant, unreachable. The Council said nothing for hours. Something had changed in the silence. And now, it was watching them back. The image of the Terran ship remained frozen on the Council's screen for a long time. No one could look away. It did not look like anything they had seen. It had no sharp edges, no symbols, no lights flashing in patterns. It floated with quiet purpose, as if it belonged to the space around it. Carell studied every detail. The surface of the ship was smooth, almost like glass, yet it didn't reflect light. It absorbed it, like space itself had shaped it. "Is it a machine?" someone whispered. "I don't think so," Carell replied. "It's something more." The Council was divided. Some wanted to stop, leave Earth alone. Others felt they needed answers. Not just about Earth, but about what it had become. The quiet messages, the vanishing ships, the shape in the dark. All of it pointed to one truth. Earth was not the same world they once knew. A new team was chosen. This time it included diplomats, scientists, and a translator who had studied Terran language for decades. The mission was simple. Observe only, no contact, no landing. Just reach the edge of Earth's system and send back what they see. The ship left in silence. As it crossed into the outer edge of the system, strange things began to happen. The stars behind them shifted, as if the ship was not moving through space, but space was moving around the ship. Their instruments picked up no signs of planets, no moons, no sun, yet the system was supposed to be there. They checked maps again. They were in the right place. And then all at once they saw it. A vast object floated above where Jupiter should have been. But this was no planet. It was something else. No clear shape. No obvious material. It felt alive, but they couldn't explain why. Some of the crew described hearing sounds, soft and distant, though the ship's systems recorded nothing. Then, their lights flickered. A calm voice filled the ship. It was human but strange. Slower, more measured. It spoke directly into their minds, not through speakers. "You have stepped close enough. This is not your place. Return now." No threat, no anger, just a warning. Firm, final. The crew obeyed. Slowly, the ship turned, As they moved away, the stars came back into view. The sun reappeared behind them. It was as if the system had hidden itself completely. When they returned, they brought a copy of the voice message. Karel listened many times. It felt familiar and unfamiliar at once. It was Earth's voice, but different, like it had grown older, wiser, and more distant. The council held meetings for days. One idea kept returning. Earth had not just left. It had evolved, quietly, on its own, without sharing, without asking, and now it stood beyond their reach. Some were afraid, others were curious, a few refused to believe it. Maybe they found something, one said, a lost technology. No, Karel said. This is not technology. This is growth. There were no answers, only questions. And then came something new. An object entered council space. Just one. Small, simple, round like a pearl. It carried no weapons, no engines. It floated slowly through their defense systems. No alarms were triggered. No scans worked. It stopped near the council station. A soft pulse came from inside it. It was a message, not written, not spoken. It was a feeling, a memory, of silence, of distance, of a seat left empty not because of weakness, but because Earth had chosen another path. The message ended with a clear thought that passed through every mind near the object. We did not leave to escape. We left to become. And just like that, the object vanished. No one knew how. No one knew where. But one thing was certain. Earth had returned, not to speak, not to ask, but to remind them. It still remembered everything. The memory left by the strange object stayed in the minds of the council for weeks. It was not something they could erase. It didn't speak like a message. It felt more like a memory someone had placed inside their thoughts. A quiet voice repeating the same idea. We did not leave to escape. We left to become. But become what? No one could answer. Not even Karel. Scientists studied the object's remains but found nothing. It had not been made of metal, stone, or any known element. In fact, they could not even prove it had ever been there. Yet the entire station remembered it clearly. The message, the feeling, the weight of something watching them from afar. The council grew restless. Debates stretched for hours. Should they leave Earth alone? Should they send another message? Should they try to understand what Earth had become, or simply accept that it was beyond understanding? Karel stayed quiet for most of those meetings. He spent his time in the archives, watching every old recording of Earth he could find. Images of their early speeches, their first arrival at the council, their ideas for peace, cooperation, science, and hope. He saw how Earth had tried to fit in, how they were laughed at, how their advice was ignored, and then he found a file he had never seen before. It was marked as incomplete. He opened it. The screen showed a room, dimly lit, quiet, with a human standing in front of the council long before they withdrew. The human wore no uniform, no armor, just simple black clothing. Their eyes were calm, but there was something behind them. A quiet strength. I wonder, the human had said, how long peace can last when only one side truly wants it. The file ended there. Karel watched it again and again. It didn't feel like a warning. It felt like a question. One evening, just before rest hours, another signal arrived. This time, it was not from Earth. It was from outside the mapped galaxy. It came as a ripple, not through space, but through energy itself. Ships on the outer rim reported strange readings. Suns dimmed slightly. Space stations felt a delay in light travel, and always the same strange rhythm at the edge of the signal. Some believed it was a natural wave. Others believed it was something coming. The council prepared quietly, unsure what it meant. Then, unexpectedly, a second message came. It was short. It Used Earth signal code, but it did not come from Earth. It wakes. You are not ready. We are. The council stared at the message in confusion. What wakes? Asked one delegate. We? Asked another. Who is we? Carell didn't answer. He was staring at the signal trace, the pattern, the energy. It didn't look like Earth's usual signal style. It was smoother, more complete. Like something, or someone, was speaking with the voice of Earth, but from far beyond it. In the days that followed, strange things continued. Probes on the outer edge of the galaxy stopped sending data. Long-range telescopes picked up strange shadows near distant stars, shadows that moved without light. Panic started to build, and then something appeared. A ship. Just one. Small and smooth like the Pearl before, but this one opened. Slowly. Silently. A human stepped out. Or at least something that looked human. Their skin seemed normal, but shimmered faintly when light touched it. Their eyes were soft, but deep like wells that had no bottom. They stood in the center of the council's great hall. No guard stopped them, no alarm sounded. It was as if the station itself had allowed them through. The figure looked around. No fear, no rush. Then they spoke. We did not return for revenge. We returned because you will need us soon. A murmur spread across the chamber. Carell stood. What do you mean? What is coming? The figure looked at him and smiled. Not kindly, not coldly, just calmly. Something old, older than your council, older than your stars. It does not speak. It does not stop. It is only drawn to movement, to sound, to light. The hall went quiet. You left the galaxy open, the figure said. You thought it was safe, but you do not see what we see now. Then why did Earth leave? Carell asked. The figure turned as if looking back at something far away. To become quiet, they said. To survive. And then the figure vanished. No light, no door. One moment there, the next gone. Only their words remained. And now, every star felt just a little colder. Every silence, a little deeper. And somewhere far, far beyond the charts, something had begun to stir. Ever since the human figure disappeared, the council had changed. The members no longer laughed in meetings. There were no more jokes about Earth's empty seat. The chamber was quieter. Even the air felt different, as if the great station itself had begun to listen more carefully. Something was coming. They all felt it, but no one knew what. Carell spent his days studying old records, maps, forgotten star paths, and hidden reports. He searched for signs of anything that might match what the figure had spoken about. Something older than the stars. Something drawn to movement and light. In one of the deepest layers of the archive, he found a warning. It came from a vanished species called the Virilan. They had left a message carved into crystal, not words, but shapes. When translated, it said, "Stillness is the oldest shield. Noise is a call. When it hears you, it does not forget." Carell sat in silence after reading that. Meanwhile, in deep space, strange effects were spreading. Communications between colonies began to weaken. Light from certain stars dimmed, not all at once, but slowly, like something large and invisible passed in front of them. Long-range ships reported feelings they couldn't explain, a sense of being watched. Some crew members claimed to hear faint hums through the walls of their vessels, even though instruments recorded nothing. One message from a listening post arrived late at night. The words were short and trembling. We see no ship, but the stars. Blink, and do not open again. After that, silence. Back at the council, a new visitor arrived. This time it was not a person, not a message, and not a warning. It was a memory. It came through the old Earth seat itself, glowing faintly after 10 years of silence. Not a light to the eyes, but to the mind. The council chamber went still, As one by one the members began to see the same thing at the same time. They were standing on a silent Earth, not the loud, busy world of the past, but a calm, focused place. Towers stood tall and clean. The skies were quiet. The machines moved without sound. The people did not rush. They did not fear. They listened. At the center of it all was a sphere, large, transparent, resting above the ground as if held by thought, alone. Inside, a shape glowed softly, a heart of knowledge, or power, or something in between, and then the memory whispered. We learned not to shout into the dark, but you did. The memory faded. The council leaders stared at each other. Carell was the first to speak. This isn't a warning, he said. It's a lesson. They're showing us what silence gave them, what we might need. But others did not agree. Some feared Earth's silence more than the thing approaching. Others believed it was all connected, that whatever Earth had become, it had become it for a reason, and that reason was getting closer. Across the stars, more systems went dark. It wasn't destruction. There were no signs of attack, but light was vanishing. Signals stopped. Time slowed in strange ways. Like space itself was folding inward. The council finally admitted it. They were not in control anymore, and Earth had known all along. So they sent one final request. Not a demand, not a challenge, just a question. Will you help us? For days, there was no reply. Then one signal came, from Earth. Simple. Clear. Not until you are quiet enough to hear, and with that the stars themselves seemed to hush, as if the galaxy had taken a breath it did not plan to release. The galaxy had gone quiet, not silent from fear, but from something deeper, something unfamiliar. The council suspended all travel. Between systems, beacons were turned off, ships stayed docked. Even the massive lights of their great cities were dimmed for the first time in 1,000 years. It was not surrender. It was something else. They were listening. Far across the stars, something ancient stirred, but it did not arrive. It did not send messages or make demands. It simply existed, like a vast presence watching from just beyond the curtain of space. And the council for once did not try to speak first. They waited. For the first time in remembered history, they chose stillness over control. Then one evening, without sound or warning, Earth's seat was no longer empty. A figure stood there, not a person, not quite a machine, and not what anyone had expected. It shimmered with quiet light, its shape hard to describe, something between human and starlight. It had no face, but when it turned, everyone in the chamber felt as though it looked directly at them. Carell stood, not with fear, but calm. The figure spoke, not with sound, but thought. You quieted yourselves. That is a beginning. No one dared to interrupt. The thing you woke is not angry. It is only curious. But curiosity, in something that large, can become unstoppable if left unchecked. Carell stepped forward slightly. Then what can we do? There was a long pause, not empty but full of meaning. You have already done it, you stopped speaking, and in doing so you began to hear what you could not before. The chamber grew still. The air felt different, lighter, clearer, as if some weight had lifted. We left not because we feared the galaxy, but because we feared what we might become if we stayed among those who could not listen. Carell lowered his eyes. We never understood, he said. No, the figure agreed. But now, you begin to. A soft light spread across the council floor. It was not bright, but warm, gentle, like the last light of a sun before night. The thing you woke is not angry, it is only curious. But curiosity in something that large can become unstoppable if left unchecked. Carell stepped forward slightly. Then what can we do? There was a long pause, not empty, but full of meaning. You have already done it, you stopped speaking. And in doing so you began to hear what you could not before. The chamber grew still. The air felt different, lighter, clearer, as if some weight had lifted. We left not because we feared the galaxy, but because we feared what we might become if we stayed among those who could not listen. Karel lowered his eyes. We never understood, he said. No, the figure agreed. But now, you begin to. A soft light spread across the council floor. It was not bright, but warm, gentle, like the last light of a sun before night. The thing you woke will sleep, again, for a time, because the galaxy has grown quiet, and stillness is not something it expects. The chamber remained silent. No one moved. We will not lead you. We will not return to your council. But we will not turn away. The path you now begin is your own. The light began to fade. The figure grew fainter. Its final words passed through the minds of every being present, not as sound but as a gentle understanding. Become more, as we did, not through force, but through peace that endures silence. And then it was gone. But something had changed. The stars beyond the station seemed brighter. The silence felt richer, not empty but full of presence. The galaxies no longer felt like places to conquer, but places to learn from. Karel remained in the chamber long after everyone left. He looked at Earth's seat, now empty again, but not lonely, not forgotten. A small plant sat there now. No, one placed it, but it grew anyway, soft green, glowing gently under the quiet stars.